Greetings, viewers, and welcome to the Legal Talks brought to you by SAYWHAT. Today we're at the studio of choice and we're going to be discussing on mental health. Today in studio with me, I do have three guests that we're going to be having, and I'll give them this time to introduce themselves.
Thank you so much. My name is Ronald Takudzwa Mtatabikwa, and I'm the founder of Umafuro Men's Organization, which is an organization that focuses on men's mental health.
Thank you very much. My name is Priscilla Korisa, and I am a Child Protection Officer at the Department of Social Welfare Highfield District.
Thank you guests for joining us today in this important discussion. So on the 7th of May, SAYWHAT and other organizations commemorated International Children's Mental Health Day under the theme Children's Voices Matter. Today we're here to discuss the importance of mental health and how it's affecting children within our communities. And what we would firstly like to discuss is maybe to have to allow our viewers to have an understanding on what mental health is. So I turn this time to you, guests. Could you please share your understanding of what mental health is?
For me personally, mental health, I understand it from the point of the World Health Organization, which conceptualizes mental health as a state of mental well-being when an individual realizes their own abilities and can cope with the stresses of life and can take part in initiatives that develop their communities. That's how I understand mental health.
Okay. So yes, thank you very much for that, Mr. Mtatabikwa. Ma'am Kurisa?
Yes, I also understand it to be a state of well-being where someone, you look at the ability to function emotionally, how they solve their problems, how they manage their feelings, how they deal with trauma, how they deal with any kind of problem that they deal with in their lives. So when you have someone who is dealing with maybe problem solving and decision making, you look at that person, whether they're able to make decisions for themselves, whether they're able to solve problems for themselves. So this is where now you look at a person when you're trying to help them. You look at their ability to also build relationships with other people, whether they can also have that communication with people and be empathetic with other people. Mm-hmm. The moment the surrounding where they stay, if they are able to cope with the stress and the trauma, mm-hmm. and they're also able to cope with their thoughts and their feelings, mm-hmm. that's when you say someone has got a good mental capacity.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing your views on mental health. So something interesting came up when you were sharing your views on mental health. I just wanted to know maybe how does somebody get to pick up or to see that maybe this person has challenges in terms of mental health? Okay.
You can see them and you can identify someone with a poor mental health if they have anxiety, mm-hmm. and if they have depression. Normally, someone with a poor mental health experiences a lot of depression, mm-hmm. and experiences a lot of anxiety within themselves. Mm-hmm. When you talk to them, you see they're not settled. You see there's something wrong with them. Mm-hmm. Some other people, it even goes to an extent of using substances like drugs, mm-hmm. Maybe alcohol. Mm-hmm. You see someone who's maybe at their peak of their career, mm-hmm. and they're doing very well, then you find out they're now using drugs. Then you ask yourself what has gone wrong with that person, only to find that they were not doing well in terms of their mental health. They were dealing with issues. So those issues will come out now as anxiety, as depression, or even as using things like drugs and even abusing alcohol.
Okay.
And then you can also see personality disorders there. You see someone you're talking to, they are happy at some point, they are angry, they are crying, mm-hmm. they've got all kinds of personalities within them. Mm-hmm. And you realize there's something going on in terms of their mental capacity. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing those views. From what you guys have shared and what we have discussed, I have come to understand that mental health is not doesn't mainly just focus on mental illness, but it's also about mental well-being, how you're able to cope, and it also broadens and then also goes to issues to do with mental illness,
Yes.
people who suffer from schizophrenia, or maybe who are born with Down syndrome and other mental illnesses.
Yes.
So it's a broad spectrum, and
is.
we are happy that we were able to discuss this.
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
So children are a group that's also affected in terms of mental health. A lot of people will see children and think that maybe because they don't have as much pressure as adults, they don't suffer from mental health strains. But this is not true. Children also have their challenges in terms of mental health. So I just wanted to get to know from you guys how you feel the community and our home environments affect children's mental health.
Okay, I'll speak from the home side. A home has to be nurturing for a child, for them to have mental well-being that is healthy. Most of the homes that do not have a healthy environment, you can see the child being affected mentally. For example, relationship with the siblings. If the relationship is not good and they're always fighting, it actually affects the child. They are too young to normalize certain issues. So whenever there's that fight, you find that children, it affects their well-being. And also if there is a fight between parents, domestic violence especially, parents fighting, if there is the father, hitting on the mother, you find that these kind of situations, they affect children. They might not be able to talk, they might not be able to say anything, but you see through their character. One person may actually become withdrawn, and you see the child no longer speaks, or the child can actually have deviant behaviors because of that. So whenever there is that aspect of a family not functioning properly, it affects their well-being. And also when you look at the parents' mental health, look at whether the father or the mother is able to make decisions in the home, whether they're also able to take care of the family, and whether they're able to resolve issues in the house amicably. And if they're using violence or they're always shouting, it affects the child because the child can become withdrawn. The child can also become violent depending on which aspect is he picked on. Is he picked on the violent aspect? Is he picked on the withdrawal aspect? The child can actually become someone who doesn't speak to people, someone who doesn't know how to communicate with people, someone who doesn't know how to interact with people. And you find that most of the juvenile delinquency cases that we're having, they're coming from the families having mental health issues that children are not able to deal with. So this environment has to be healthy for children to be able to grow up with their healthy well-being. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for those sentiments that you shared. I would also maybe like to follow up and ask maybe the parenting skills in terms of like how the parents deal with maybe children's misbehavior. How does that maybe affect the mental health of a child?
Okay. You look at parents these days, they are too busy to take care of their own children sometimes. They're at work most of the time, so when they come back, they hear stories about their child. They're not able to sit down with them and talk to them. They just brush it away as if it's something that's natural. So for parents, we teach positive parenting to say you must sit down with your child and you must talk to your child, ask them how their day was, whether you've heard something that's been going on in their lives, you ask them. And the child will be able to express their feelings, their views, their wishes. Whenever they express themselves, you get to understand who they are. You get to understand what they think and how they feel. So it's very important for parents to be able to harness that within children. And also parents, We also talk about African parents, they believe in beating. So, so whenever a child is mischievous, they believe that if I beat the child, that's the only way to solve the problem. But you find that when you beat that child, the behavior gets worse. So it's not always the way to deal with the deviant behaviors. Yeah, you need to actually sit down and speak to them, because children, they also have their own reasoning capacity, where you actually sit down and speak to them and they respond to you and they change. Right? So we teach them to do that, and also to give them time to say anything that they want to say, that they're seeing within the family, that to say, this is not going on well with me, it's affecting me. So the parents should be able to listen to that and be able to change their behaviors for the well-being of their child. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for noting that. Yeah, it is important for parents to understand that their child needs attention. Their child also needs to be disciplined in a certain way that doesn't affect their mental health and their well-being. Coming to you, Mr. Mtatabikwa, I would want to know maybe what do you think, maybe in what way does the community impact children's mental health? Okay.
I think in communities we have different community and societal norms that we have that might not be favorable to the mental health of a child, such as the neglect of children born with disabilities or the labeling of children who are victims of abuse. Those things affect a child, they affect their self-esteem, they affect every aspect of their lives, right? And they tend to self-isolate themselves. So as Mem said, if we then teach these parents, because the community is the coming together of different households. So if we are saying as a community, we are teaching them positive parenting, we are also teaching them how to deal with their children, how to listen to their children. I think that would go a long way in helping our children.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's those are very important views that you shared. Also, just to follow up on the community environment, children spend most of their time in school. Yeah. So I just wanted also to know, what's your view on maybe the impact that the school environment has on children's mental health?
Yes, as you have rightfully said, they spend most of their time at school. So the school is an important institution to talk about when we are speaking of children, because number one, there are issues to do with bullying that we have heard in schools that affect a child's mental health, and it requires a teacher who is also a parent at school to then note behavioral changes in children, look at them, look at their performances. I think it's notable that there's something wrong that's going on. Then it takes that heart of a teacher who's also a parent to go a step further, look at what really is affecting the child, because the school environment has an effect on the mental health of a child. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe to you, Ms. Kurisa, would you have anything to share in regards to the school environment?
The school environment, maybe just one thing to say, what I've realized with the school environment is that children, sometimes they express themselves to their teachers. They feel comfortable to speak to their teachers and to say whatever is going on at home. And we feel that teachers, whenever they hear these children speak to them, they must act as fast as they can to let the social care know, to let the police know if there's anything that may need attention to assist that child. Because there are issues that maybe you may think it's a small thing, but when you get to the home, you find that it's something that can actually destroy the well-being of the child. Yeah.
So thank you very much for sharing your views in that regard. I would like to say to you viewers, do not suffer in silence. And whenever you feel that you need support, mental health support, feel free to reach out to SAYWHAT's toll-free number 577, where we have social workers, psychologists that are ready to assist in relation to supporting your mental health. Welcome back, viewers, to this talk show. We're glad to have you back. And joining me, we also have another guest in the studio. I'll give them this opportunity to introduce themselves.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Nitiwana. I'm part of the call center team at SAYWHAT.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Michelle. As you remember, we also have Ms. Kurisa from the Department of Social Development joining us. Thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we're gonna talk more on mental health issues, and we're gonna move on to how mental health links with child protection issues. I would ask maybe Ms. Kurisa to share a bit more of how she thinks mental health links with child protection issues.
Thank you very much. With children, they're very sensitive to how they're being treated. So you find that when children suffer trauma, right, in child abuse, it may be physical abuse, it may be sexual abuse, it may be emotional abuse, any kind of abuse that they suffer. Whenever they suffer this abuse, it goes through their mind a lot, and you find that they end up having post-traumatic disorders, where they're not able to share with anybody, where they're not able to communicate with anybody, where they're not able to even play with their own peers. And you also find they have trauma. Whenever they have trauma, they are unable to express themselves, their views, their feelings. You might think that a child doesn't want to say anything, that a child doesn't want to speak to anyone, but because they are traumatized by what happened to them, they might not be able to speak. So they need to be placed in an environment where they feel comfortable to speak, where they feel comfortable to express themselves. So this is very important to know that the way children are treated within homes, they can actually cause them to have poor mental health. And then also looking at things like attachment disorders. A child can have an attachment disorder to say if they were being neglected by a parent or neglected by a relative, they might not want at the end of the day to attach themselves to anyone because they feel that this person might leave me again. This person might not love me again. So they end up having that attachment disorder. Even if you place them with another relative, you hear stories that they're not speaking, they're not playing with anyone, they're not connecting with anyone. It's because they feel that I don't know how long these people can stay with me, I don't know how long they can love me. So there's that now, that post-traumatic disorder, they now have stress. They're now traumatized and they can't even be a child like they're supposed to be. So this is how this actually affects them so much. Yeah.
Thank you for your views. Yes, Michelle?
So to add on to what you're saying, yes, you definitely cannot separate mental health with any form of abuse, because every form of abuse that a child suffers has an impact on their mental health. And even as adults, most of the children that are abused are proven to then become either abusers or to develop mental illnesses as they grow older. And looking at mental health with child protection, it's not only about the child, it's also about the caregivers. Is the child in a community or in an environment in which people are also suffering from mental health illnesses? If the family environment of the child, there's the mother is suffering from, let's say, schizophrenia, that's going to result in a lot of neglect, in a lot of abuse. So we're not only looking at the child, but we're looking at the child's environment and where they're coming from. And then other children are not diagnosed early. We have issues of autism, where in our culture people would think this is witchcraft, or because the child ate food from this house, but the child is suffering from psychological issues that need therapies, that need doctors, that need to be treated. So this is something that the community needs to be aware of when it comes to child protection and mental health.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Interesting point you were both sharing. And also, Michelle, you mentioned issues to do with like the healthcare that a child is supposed to receive. It is important that for maybe a child diagnosed with autism to get the correct support that they need. That support will also help them cope with the various issues that they'll be handling and going through in whatever time that they'll be in. So I would also maybe just try to follow up and say, what support services or what support do you think is needed to be provided to children in terms of mental health?
We definitely have to understand that the needs of a child suffering from mental health illnesses is different from a child living a normal life. From the way you educate them, when it comes to school, they have special needs. Some need special teachers. The same way they grasp concept is not the same way other children that don't have mental illnesses grasp concepts. So it's not only the teachers that need training, the parents need training, the siblings, the community. So it then becomes a duty for everyone to take care of that child, not just a one-person job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Ms. Kurisa.
Yes, I agree with that, and also just adding to say family support is very important for the child to be able to know that I have people that are with me, I have people that understand me, and I have people that care for me. And also just removing that stigma, like she was talking about a child with autism. A child with autism is a child who needs help, special care. And if as the community we know that this is a child who needs our care and our love, I think that child will feel comfortable even to play with other children. He will also feel comfortable to be around other people. So there's that need to actually remove that stigma to say, what is it that this child is going through? What is autism? It's a disease, and we have to accept as they are. And for them to get actually support from their families as well as their communities. And also just helping them to go through their emotions, just speaking to them and maybe just understanding how they feel and not push their feelings away. Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I would also maybe to follow up on that, what are you as an organization, or maybe you as organizations, what are you doing in terms of promoting the mental health of children? Maybe I'll start with Michelle. What is SAYWHAT doing in safeguarding the mental health of children?
So SAYWHAT has a child protection unit in which we work to ensure that all children are able to fully live out their rights, and they're able to get all the help they need and access to services. So in the child protection unit, as a unit, we had training for guidance and counseling for teachers in different communities, so that when children go to school, they have a support system, people that are able to offer them counseling, people that are able to offer them support, to ensure that they're not just learning about books or about science, but they're also taking care of their mental health. And then we also have in-schools campaign where we go to different schools and we teach them about mental health, and we tell them that we as the SAYWHAT call center are available to offer counseling services and to just offer someone to talk to someone to just listen to them. So they can call 577 if they need counseling or career guidance or any issues that might be stressing them or causing any mental health illnesses. And then we also have the Web for Life and the Mugota. The Web for Life is for women, so that means young girls that need counseling, young girls that need a sense of direction, young girls that need guidance. And the Mugota is for young males that also need guidance and support in any form.
No, thank you very much for that. You said the number again is where people can call?
577.
577. And is it free? Do people have to?
So the 577 is a toll-free line. That means you can call without credit, and you can call with a telecell line, you can call with the Net One line, and you can call with an Econet line. And it's 24/7. That means any time of the day, there's always someone waiting to offer help.
No, thank you for that. Ma'am Kurisa, yeah, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. We as the department as well, we are focusing on intervention, early intervention, to identify the risks that are there for the child. We've got child protection committees that are within the communities that watch over the care of children, whatever is happening within their families. Once they identify whether there's an abuse case or there's a case where there's an urgent need for us to go there, they quickly give us that information, and we go to identify and also see what we can do to assist that child. If there is a need to remove that child from that place, we do so. If there is need for us to involve the police, we do so. Because at the end of the day, what we want is for the protection, the care and protection of the child. And also as the department, we do have Child Protection Committee meetings, which we hold every month for our children. They are child-led, and we organize children from all communities. They come together to talk about what they go through within their homes, what they go through within their families and in their communities, even at school. That's where we identify some of the issues that children go through, and we are able to assist and help them. And also within the department, we do offer counseling as well to children who are going through neglect, who are going through abuse of any form. After we've removed them from that place of risk, we also offer counseling. And most of the people that we work with are stakeholders, organizations like SAYWHAT, organizations like the police, the Ministry of Education. We work together just to see that a child, we have the best interest of the child at the end of the day. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for sharing what is being done to support and to promote children's mental health. I also do know that Kumafuro Men's organization focuses on mental health in relation to young men and also boys as well. We see that when children are young, right, when boys are raised, they're raised in a way that they're supposed to hold back maybe their emotions and not open up. And this just maybe escalates as they grow older. They're supposed to be firm. So organizations like Kumafuro also help in terms of like supporting young men and building them up, supporting boys and building them up to accept that it's okay to reach out. When I need help, I can call SAYWHAT on 577. I can approach the Department of Social Development and get assistance. So yes, thank you very much for sharing your sentiments today. I do believe that we had a fruitful discussion, and do not suffer in silence. Whenever you feel that I need somebody to talk to, you can reach out to the SAYWHAT call center on the number 577. We have social workers, psychologists that will be able to help you and offer confidential services that you can maybe just share. I'm going through this, and then they'll be able to assist. So thank you very much for tuning in and joining us in this legal talk show. And do like and follow and subscribe SAYWHAT social media platforms. We have our Facebook platform, we have our YouTube channel. Do click the link below, and don't forget to subscribe.